On Saturday, February 8, 2014, my mother's physical body went to sleep. She was tired. And when she took her last breath, the world around me became silent for a moment, literally. The sound of my voice is given to you by the grace of God bestowed upon me, and because my mother, Sharren Elaine DeBerry, believed that I would give voice to this moment and speak for her. So what I share will be a small compilation of conversations and observations that give voice to my mother's life, and the message is what she has for you. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Sharren didn't have to go so soon, and yet she is gone. I could not and cannot change that, and I accept it with wisdom that tells me that though I could not control the outcome, I could demonstrate the courage necessary to keep my head and to ensure that her needs were met and she was comfortable and cared for. But we didn't have to lose my mother this soon. And still I have a serene peace, and I can accept that. Sharren was kind, compassionate, sweet, caring, and forgiving. She held her tongue in public but spoke her mind in private. She liked to laugh and smile, and she avoided confrontation. She lived the life she was given on her terms, and she would not make any apologies for it. It is what it is. She loved music, and she loved to dance. She loved family. She would give her last to someone in need, and she always tried to be certain that it was based.
But she gave me 3 songs that were her favorite songs as of the date. These were her last 3 favorite songs, her favorite songs at the time. The first song is what I consider to be the greatest song ever written. Play it. Y'all see that? I told you this was the greatest song ever. Don't matter what occasion you play it at, somebody gonna party. She almost jumped out of her clothes at the back table. People can be mad that he stole it from Marvin Gaye all they want to, but that song right there is fantastic. She ain't smiled all day until that came on right there. No matter what's going on in your life, that hey come on, it changes everything.
She would give her last to someone in need, and she always tried to be certain that it was based on the person's needs and not hers. Sharren was kind, compassionate, sweet, caring, and forgiving. There is a movie starring Richard Gere and Jodie Foster called Summersby. It is set in a time that follows the Civil War. Jack's character is played by Richard Gere. He had gone off to war and had been gone for nearly 7 years. And Laurel, who's played by Jodie Foster, is left home with their young son. Well, when Jack returns from the war, it turns out that he is perhaps an imposter. The movie implies that the real Jack had murdered another man, and Richard Gere takes up Jack's identity because they look so much alike. He gets arrested, and during that time he had been there, the 2 main characters had fallen in love. They also had a daughter and allowed members of the town to share in rebuilding by purchasing land from the family. He works to prove his innocence and his identity. Laurel wants him to acknowledge that he is not Jack in order to save his life, but that would negate all the business he's done to benefit the many members of the town and cause their daughter to be illegitimate. The outcome is that Jack proves his identity, but because the real Jack was actually guilty of the murder, he is to be put to death by hanging. In one of the final scenes, Laurel comes to him in the jail on the day he is to be hung. He asks her to come to the hanging, letting her know that he cannot go through this without her. She doesn't want to watch him be put to death, so while he stands before the hangman's noose, he looks for her but cannot see her in the crowd. While all this is going on, she's actually pushing through to get near the front. He calls out to her, and she replies, "I'm here! I'm here!" He then breathes a sigh of relief at the sight of her. He accepts that he cannot change his outcome. She has the courage to be there, and they are wise enough to know and act on their position in that moment in time. This scene is also a reminder that we all need someone, the love of others to help us be strengthened on this life journey. Sometimes you just need one somebody to tell you, "I'm here," and you can face whatever is to come. But in the final moment, when the cover is placed over your head and your time is up, that person or those people go on in this earthly life. And your next phase is all about your own spirit preparation. They may be even able to help you get there, but they can't go with you. The final journey is yours alone. When people transition this life, there are reports of others who were close to them that have passed on coming to them in dreams. In her final months, my mother talked about my grandma, her father, my Aunt Sandra, and others who wanted to get her for a party. If they're celebrating on the other side, then I know my family is at that party. They are spending their afterlife the same way they spent life here.
This for the older crowd. The older people like to dance. They got a line dance. It's nothing but moving your feet a whole lot of time. You just shuffle your feet 47 times. You can jump up and do it if you want to. You got it in songs. It's crazy because it's funny that those will be those two songs will be her favorite songs during her time because you have blurred lines. You know, like I was talking to Angelina a lot of times, and she'd be like, my mom's kind of confused about what's going on. She just talk about anything, and I say, okay, that's a blurred line. You don't really know what's happening out there, but you know you like the song, and then just fine. And so like Angelina would talk to me, like, mom's having a good day, having a bad day, but she ain't really complaining about nothing. It's just like, you know, it's a good day, it's a bad day. So it's Mary J. Blige just fine. Now I like Mary J. Blige, but I don't like happy Mary J. Blige. So
Spending their afterlife the same way they spent life here, enjoying the life they are given. If the conversation presented itself at one of those parties and someone started to speak about matters of faith, believing in God, Jesus Christ, and so on, there might have been a brief pause at different celebrations where we had the opportunity to know that our loved ones believed in God, believed He loved them, believed they would go to heaven, and they believed these things because they professed it. They said it out of their mouths. Even if they didn't say it over and over again all the time, they had spoken it into the atmosphere and they carried it in their hearts. Everyone's speech is different. Our demonstrations of what we believe should not be the same. They should be very unique and individual expressions of who God is in each of us. We are perfected by God's presence within us, but we are not perfect. So when you look for God in others, speak of the God you see in them. If you see something in them that doesn't look like God to you, you tell that to God and let Him handle that. That's why He's God. In my mother, God was sunlight. God was happiness. God was joy. In my mother, God was, I love you in spite of you. God was, own your mistakes. God was, apologize to people and ask for forgiveness. In my mother, God was, do not be afraid, for I am with you. God was in Sharren Elaine DeBerry. The latter part of her illness was difficult for many reasons. Whoever she was to each of us individually, she loved us all to the very best of her ability, and the person's best is the best, whether or not it works for you. Sharren gave what she had and made no effort to give what she did not. We often fall short under the estimation of men, but when God says your best is good enough, it is good enough. You might not be worthy, nor do you deserve it, but you're good enough because He cares enough about you to grace you with His love. We are assigned to each other based on what we have to give. We receive gifts because others have what we need and the ability to give it to meet that need. My mother was exactly who she needed to be. She was love. And love is never lost. People are lost. Things are lost. Tangible things that you can touch are lost. We may miss those things of love that we experience with the senses, but love is never lost. It spans time and space and distance. It gives of itself without question, seeking only to be love. Love just wants to be love. The Bible tells us to honor our mother and father, but it doesn't say if they do what we want them to do or what we expect them to do. It doesn't even say honor them if they do what we need them to do. It just says honor them. It is a mandate for us as individuals. It's not a collective or someone else's responsibility to honor your parents. You have to define what that means to you in order that you may do that. Now, let's say that you don't subscribe to Christian theology and therefore you don't have to or don't believe that you have to have a commitment to the scripture because of the ways your parents treated you. You feel as though you don't need to. Let me help you understand something about why one must still consider honoring. You honor because you are here. And you are here because they gave you life. Honor your life by honoring your parents. My mother didn't have much opportunity to shower her love on her great-grandchildren, but she loved on them in the distance. She wanted them to know her. And through her immense love she had for my son William, she lives on through the love that she gave to him. If you do all things in love, You will find yourself able to forgive more freely, to accept people as they are, and to remain true to who you are in the process. I have no other way to get through this except for the love of God and God's love for my mother. It's that simple. And love wins every time. Even in a moment that feels like loss, love wins. Let the world know you were here, but first let the Lord know that you want to be counted. Let him know that you would like to allow him to use your life. Be counted. People need to be whole and healthy. And if you didn't know my mother, your life is still better because she was here. Because she was here, I am here. And because I am here, you are here. And because you are here, you will take something with you, and my mother will be remembered. Her life was a seedling planted into the lives of others. We all were here. Sharren was private. She didn't like to be around a lot of people, and she didn't like anyone to intrude on her personal space. That is why some of you didn't even know that she was as ill as she was. But she was strong, and she carried her illness with grace, laughter, and momentary interruptions that gave us each a little piece of who she was. She was an example that we must persevere through this life regardless of what may be happening around you, understanding that our choices have consequences, and sometimes the persevering is harder because of the choices we have made. My mother was not a person who would speak just to hear herself talking, because sometimes the right words are no words at all. People will begin to speak about what things should look like after this moment has passed as it relates to family and other matters of the heart. On behalf of my mother, I simply encourage you to stop talking negatively about one another. Recognize that sometimes growing up and life gets in the way of our ability to always do the get together or be together or come together. So instead of trying to find the right things to say, just try saying I love you. I love you is always the right thing. Even though my mother didn't want to leave here, she knew Jesus Christ to be the Lord and Savior of her life. So she knew where she would go when the time came. You can love the Lord privately, but you must still make an open profession of it and move forward from that moment, living your life as though you believe it. Allow your forward living to be a demonstration.
Look, this is how God works and stuff. That this last song will be the song because it's a theme, and it's been a theme throughout the entire service, through the memorial, whatever we're calling it today. It's been the theme, right? Because you've been saying it's been a thing, and it's funny how, without even knowing it, people are all getting in on the theme. That's how you know somebody's life and how she's right in the midst of the whole service and everything, because everybody's fitting on the same theme. The same thing, the whole thing today, and everybody has talked, has not been, really I didn't see a whole lot of crying, except for, when Angelina broke down a little bit, but you're supposed to. I wanted you to break furniture and stuff. I wanted you to really go ham, so we can really memorialize this thing. I wanted you to Florida Evans some, but then they had all plastic stuff, so that wouldn't have worked just the same. I wanted you to slam something, but you kept it all calm and collected. I need that. You know what that means? That means you did right by your mama the whole time she was here. Those people that act up, try the same thing, like, nobody has come up, and I know people lie a lot of times at funerals. Like people, they do. People get up and talk about people that have been such great people, and they've done this and they've done that. But you can always tell with whole lie. Like, nobody will tell the truth at a funeral. But what I've noticed is that at this service, people have all, like, because it's been genuine, you can just kind of tell by the way that people talk. Like, people have, like, real memories. And when you don't spend time with people, when you don't make an impression on people's life, then they don't have memories of you. That's one of the things that's true. Like, when people just say general statements, then you know that they're not really meaning it. It's just something that they say. But when somebody can say, let me give you a memory that I have of this person, that means that you, in order to make a memory in somebody's life, you have to actually touch them, not like in an R. Kelly way, but in a way that left an impression on their life. So, one of the constant themes throughout this whole thing has been how happy everybody has been. Like, people have all said, I was happy to know her. I was happy to have her as an aunt. When I came to Portsmouth, I was happy to meet her. I was happy, I was happy, I was happy. So everybody was like, they were just happy. It's been happiness throughout the entire, except for the baby. Everybody has been happy. Like, did you notice that too? Like, everybody came up like, man, I was real happy. Like, my grandma would take me to get video games that made me happy. Like, everybody was just like happy. I got to sleep out on the porch and watch the park. Some reason they were happy, but I just let it ride. Yes. Okay, so here's the thing. We had 3 songs. That's our recap. 3 songs. These like preachers do. Y'all had 3 points. We did 3 songs. We got 3 points. Point number 1. The first song was Blurred Lines. So you got to remember, sometimes in life, things are going to get confused and things are going to get solid. But here's what's going to happen. Whenever you have a foundation, whenever you have something that you're solid about or who you are, whenever those things get blurry in your life, the only thing that's going to come through is what you truly are. Like we learn who people really are during any time of like struggle or strife or when things aren't going right. When things get blurred, the only thing that you ever can do, think about it, if you sit and you lose your sight, like if you are like me and every now and again by accident you get toothpaste in your eyes, okay? Somebody else said, because they know what it feels like. It's not a very good feeling. It burns and you can't see. But when things get blurred like that, the only thing that you can ever do is you're going to realize what you have and what you know, and you're going to lean on what you know to try to get through the house or wherever you're going. That's the only thing that you do. Whatever you know, you use. And you usually can get through wherever you're going, whether it's dark or whatever. Whatever gets blurred. So you have to rely on what you have. And that's love. And there's been a lot of love shown. And that's what your mom was. Whenever anything happened, when everything's going on, the only thing that she could rely on was what she was. And that was love. And that's what she gave everybody. When she knew that she was letting y'all outside on that porch in Washington Park, no matter how safe it was, she was doing it in love. She knew that y'all were going to be okay. Nobody's ever told a story where they were really in danger, like everything was going to be okay. And then, Mary J. Blige, I'm Fine. Now, that whole song came through a strifeful period in her life. Like, if you really know anything about that song, when she was coming off the breakup, the drug addiction, everything that was going on in her life, and when people really were saying stuff about her, that she should be down, that she should be going through this, she should be going through that, and she just wrote a song that says, I'm fine. No matter what happens, I am fine. I am good to go. That's an amazing song. That's an amazing song if you think about it. If you're going through a time where people are going to tell you that you are not going to make it, and when you can make up in your mind that your song that you're going to listen to is I'm fine, do you realize how much strength that takes to decide that no matter what's happening to me right now, because of the life that I've already lived, I'm fine. I'm fine. It's amazing. Like you can't even, that's what we have to live our lives to be. You have to live your life that when it comes to your ending point, no matter what's going on, that you can still come back and be like, I'm fine. Okay, what's happening to me? I'm fine. I'm good. Good days, bad days, you know what? I'm fine, because it's another day. I'm fine. And the last song is Happy. Song by Pharrell. This came out a couple days ago. Now, I'm going to admit, it's on a movie. It's called Despicable Me 2. I watched it by myself. And now, it's not the most manly thing to say, but I did it. I got kids, didn't watch the movie with my kids. Watched it by myself. But the song is Happy. The song is happy. You just have to know what happiness means to you. I'm going to let the whole song, but then the DJ has to play the whole song because that's what he's contractually obligated to do. But what's amazing about it is for that to be one of her favorite songs. One of her favorite songs, if you ever listen to the song, that there's nothing that anything can do to take away your happiness. There's nothing that anyone can do to take away your happiness. And what's amazing about it is that you have to find happiness within yourself before you can be happy to anybody else. That's the key, and that's what she had. Aunt Sharren or Grandma Sharren or the lady out Washington Park or whatever you wanted to call her had happiness within herself. And you can see once that happiness becomes within you, it can spread out to other people. It can. Once you decide that you're going to be happy, it'll spread to everybody else. So the only reason Angelina could do what she did with this whole service is because her mom was happy and her happiness spread to her. And her happiness spread to her kids. That's not going to mean everything's going to be perfect. But when the lines get blurred, you still say, I'm fine. Because you have happiness. And that's it. So the DJ's going to play the song. If y'all start dancing, then that's fine. If not, then that's fine too. But I'm supposed to say funny stuff, but Angelina told me I had to have a point. It had to be a message. That was really confusing for me because I don't usually do messages. I just kind of roll out of my car late.